Hey Factionistas, and thanks for coming back to my YouTube channel. You're the man, or the woman. Today is yet another collab with my BFF and the most ever talented Jordan Hanz. Today's concept was inspired by Valentine's Day and the entire concept of Till Death Do Us Part. So Jordan's flowers are very alive, very ethereal, and mine are wilting and very dead. And together, the flowers kind of flow in a little bit of a U shape to kind of implement them all together, which is really cool. But we also teamed up with Mayron Makeup, and to go over to our Instagram accounts, I'll have them linked down below, as well as Jordan's social channels, and definitely look at the contest and the prizes that you can win by doing this little makeup Valentine's Day makeup look. Okay, cool. So we're just gonna jump right in now and start the tutorial. Okay, so the first thing I'm picking up is a nude pencil. This is the Makeup Geek Full Spectrum Liner. I'm using a nude shade, and I'm going to use this pencil to kind of sketch out and map out what I'm going to do with my overall design. If you guys have been subscribed to my YouTube channel before, you guys know that this is nothing new here. I like to map out kind of what I'm doing in the overall design so I don't get lost. One of the main challenges I have when I'm doing makeup is I end up getting lost, and this kind of keeps me on track. So right now, I'm kind of feeling out my bone shape, and I'm drawing in the hollowed eye socket on yet another skull. I know I do skulls a lot. I like them. What are these? So I'm just doing the eye shape, and then I'm going to start moving on to other parts of the face. But essentially what you want to do is just draw them. And why we're using a nude and a light pencil is because they're very easily removed from the skin, so you guys can kind of go in, take a step back, and manipulate the shapes into a little bit closer to its final shape. I added a little bit of a nose, and I'm also adding a little bit of a cheekbone area to this makeup. So I didn't really have a full set plan, so I was kind of just going with it. And I'm also drinking wine this entire tutorial, and I kind of messed the entire thing up towards the end. You guys will see. So I'm taking MAC's Blacktrack, which is a black gel liner, and I'm going to use that to start adding shadow. I really like to use this gel liner, Blacktrack specifically, because it blends out very nicely, and I'm going to start using that to create depth around the highlight lines to start shading in and have that sunken in vibe start to settle into the final makeup. But since I'm using a gel liner, I can kind of use my brush to taper it off, so it kind of goes and applies right on with a gradient, having the darkest black right at that highlight line and then tapering off into my skin tone. Those are the perks of using a cream-based makeup, because it helps out. My camera wasn't recording because it's already starting. The struggle bus is already beginning. But I'm also doing the same thing to the inner parts of the hollows where the cheekbone meets the bottom jawline. From there, I'm going to take a little bit less cream gel liner. Cream gel, it's a gel. And I'm going to apply that kind of in some more crease areas to add a little bit more shape. And then I'm going to take a steppy. So I'm going in and I'm using alcohol paint. So I'm using Temp2's 99% alcohol, but I'm also going to be applying that with water-activated face paint. I'm using a brown from Mayron here. And essentially, even though this is a water-based face paint, if you mix it with alcohol, it will shear down and it'll give you a nice natural wash of color. So if you want to get like a little bit of an, it doesn't really work as well as a makeup that's kind of designed for alcohol-based paints, but it can give you that effect you want if you guys already have. But I don't know this for 100% sure, but Jordan told me that if you use alcohol to activate a water paint, it kind of it'll remain an alcohol activated paint always, so be cautious of that. So I'm mixing a white and a tan color to get a little bit of a flesh toned highlight shade. So I'm applying that all over my cheekbones, my forehead, all of that good stuff, just to kind of add some highlights. And so my natural skin tone isn't really the only skin tone going on here. You want to add some depth and dimension. So I'm using that to apply it to all of the places that we will have bones. I'm not doing a solid black and white skull this time. I want it to be a little bit more welted and dead until I started drinking too much wine, and then I kind of messed it all up. So I'm going to go mixing in this white color from the Makeup Forever Flash Palette, some brown, and a little bit of pink. And what that's going to get me, it's going to get me like a really nice foundation color, because the alcohol-activated paints are not pigmented enough to cover my brows. So I'm using a cream paint, and I'm just applying that right over my eyebrows, and I'm going to blend that out. And once you do that, you want to just set it with a little bit of loose powder so it doesn't budge, because cream paints can slip and slide around the face. From there, I'm taking that same brown mixture, and I'm going to start creating a little bit more texture and dimension into this makeup with the alcohol paints. I really like it because the more alcohol you use, the more sheer that paint is, and the less alcohol you use, the more pigmented it is. So we can get a really nice and very solid multi-dimensional kind of vibe, and it really is very unique to alcohol paints. Those are really the only ones that can give you that. And then I'm taking some alcohol on a clean fan brush to kind of diffuse and blend out some of those lines. I'm going in a little bit more with a little bit darker, and you guys can see now on that left side of my skull or on my forehead, it looks really textured and really welted and very dead, and that's really what I was going for until, again, I drank too much wine. Realistically, what happened is I was drinking wine the entire time. This makeup took longer than I expected it to, about 4 hours, so then I was drinking wine for 4 hours, so I was like, oh no. But so right now I'm just adding a little bit of brown eyeshadow to the corners of my eyes, and that's going to kind of help with the lower eye socket. I don't want to fill the entire thing in with black. I thought it would be a little bit too flat, so I apply a little bit of MAC's Blacktrack gel liner on the center of my lid, and I blend that out softly, so it kind of gives depth in the center, but the rest of it kind of fades out into a brown, so it's kind of like a multi-dimensional shadow. Then you want to just whack it on the lower lash lines too, put a little bit of gel liner, and then buff that out. And then set it with a black eyeshadow so it doesn't slip and slide. Yeah. So now I'm taking a little bit of black face paint, but I'm also going to add alcohol to that, and I'm going to use it to enhance some of these shadow areas. But I'm using alcohol again because I didn't want it to be too pigmented and too even. So I'm using a fluffy brush to kind of unevenly distribute it and to kind of stipple it on. And then also using that where any highlights were from that original Makeup Geek pencil, and I'm kind of enhancing them with a shadow so they really protrude and pop out. This makeup look would have been really great if I didn't end up drinking wine. I wish I didn't. I kind of want to try something like this again, but a little bit less skull and a little bit more kind of like the cousin of the Famine makeup I did way back when, if that makes sense. So I'm going to do it again. So this is where I can really show you how well alcohol paints are. So I'm using that brown again, and I'm going in with one layer with a very small lip brush to kind of get that tooth shape, to kind of get that sunken in vibe. And then I'm going to go in with one more layer, and I'm going to apply that only to the top and one side. And it's going to give you a very quick and very easy multi-dimensional sunken in tooth. Like, can you guys see what's kind of happening here? You can do this with eyeshadows and cream makeup, but it's going to be a lot harder. And this kind of just falls on, and it has depth right off the bat, which is really great. I haven't really used alcohol paints a lot on this channel. So take another sip, which is a mistake. And then do you want to just do the same thing to the bottom row? So I'm stippling on a little bit of white, and because I wanted to add a little bit more highlights, but again, I want it to be very uneven and very textured. So I'm using a little bit of a fluffier brush so it doesn't give me too even of a coverage. And I'm kind of just adding that to the forehead as well to keep that tarnished death vibe. And then another sip of wine. Don't do this. I swear. It sounds fun, but it's not. So now I'm taking the brown again, and so with those highlights that kind of naturally fell onto the cheekbone area, I'm enhancing them with shadow, so there's a little bit of movement going on. And it's almost like the skull is uneven. It has some higher points. It has some lower points, and you're kind of just shading it and giving it some depth. You guys can use a real skull as a reference image if that will help you. So now I'm going in with Tarte's black liner. So this is a couple wines in, and I think this is a mistake. The black is a little bit too stark. So I go in with a lot of the highlight areas, and I kind of hug that right there to kind of add maximum depth. But I think I should have kind of only done it selectively in smaller areas than doing it all around everything. I think that would have been better. Oh, sorry, my email. But do what you want with my body. Yeah, so since I thought those lines are a little bit too stark, I'm using a little bit more brown and black with some alcohol, and I'm kind of trying to diffuse that out and kind of work it into the skin a bit more because I thought it was too stark. On the cheekbone area specifically, like actually in the middle of the bone where I'm working now, I think it's a little bit too heavy. But you live and you learn. I like to kind of keep my mistakes in my YouTube videos to kind of teach you that, like, nobody's perfect. So now I'm going to circle back to a couple YouTube videos ago, and I'm going to do a couple, by a couple I mean a ton, of one-stroke roses. And if you guys want, you guys can click in the top right-hand corner right here to watch that tutorial where I teach you in depth how to do that. But I thought it would be a really nice Valentine's Day touch. You know what I'm saying? When I did the original rose tutorial, I'm like, whoa, I should have waited to February. I don't know why I did it so soon. So this is where things start to go horribly wrong, and I totally mess up. So I'm using a Makeup Forever red pigment, and I'm using that to turn these pink flowers red because I didn't have a red ombre brick to do the one-stroke rose. So I decided to make them pink and then to just shade them in with a red shadow and then a black after. So right now, I'm kind of, a little hazy with the wine, and I'm not really paying any attention, and everything on my skin seems to be working out great, but I forgot that pigment has fallout. I literally forgot that fallout existed. So I'm going in now and just shading the flowers, but what I'm not realizing is that there's eyeshadow and there's pigment falling all over my lap, all over my stomach, all over my shoulders, and then I get it all over my hands, and then I get it all over my face. I turned my hair pink. I turned everything pink. And you guys might have noticed that the right side of my face has a lot of dripping black. That's because I'm trying to cover up everything that I did doo-doo on. And sometimes it happens, and I decided to just, let's just roll with it. And it turned out okay. So that's kind of what's happening. So right now I'm working on my forehead. You guys can kind of see, like, on my fingers right now that, like, they're starting to turn red. And it's just not cute, but I'm just continuing to shade these flowers. You guys can kind of start to see it on a little bit of what you're seeing. It's my right shoulder. And it's just like, it's the beginning of the end right now. And now we're just going to take one more sip. And then it's, it's the end. Okay, so now you guys can see that there's fallout all over my right shoulder. It's starting to get a little bit on my nose right now, and it just keeps getting worse. So I think right now I'm going in with some more red shadow to put in the center of my chest. And I wish I could show you the picture of the sweatpants I was wearing. They're red. They were gray. I just bought them, and now they're red. But you just want to go in with these roses, and you want to just shade them and add depth and get them more of a red tone, and then go in with black after. So now I'm going with black eyeshadow. You guys can see that the middle of my hand is now pink. I haven't realized it yet. So I'm still just shading, and I'm just having a good old time. Now there's, like, red pigment on my chin, on my lip, and I'm just, I'm like, oh, no, it's fine. I'm just going to keep going. So you want to just add some black shadow and kind of shade these loose petals that are on the right side, which end up getting completely covered up because I'm like, oh, no. Look at my chin now. There's just red all over underneath my nose, and it's just, I'm so sad. Okay, yeah. See, this is what happened. I had no idea this happened. So I'm trying to fix it now, and I'm just touching up my eyes. But you guys can see that most of the center of my face is pink. And that's because you shouldn't drink and blend. You should never do that. So right now I'm adding black face paint to my body, and I'm using Max Fix Plus. You guys can use water. And I'm using that water-activated paint by Mayron to have it drip down to cover my entirely pink shoulder. And I'm doing that also to my eye because I have a lot of pink on this side of my face, and I'm having that drip. I think it worked out because it goes with the whole death vibe, but it's a technique I've done, time and time again on this channel, and I was like, oh, no, I gotta do it again. But I'm just adding some black, and I'm also doing that to the forehead area, and just, like, let that drip and let it dry and kind of tap it out if it's dripping too far. You're just going to take some more black face paint. You guys want to just touch up. I'm adding it to kind of hug around the roses and really get a really grungy vibe. You know what I'm saying? Get a real distressed and death-ish looking and really just get it poppin'. And just pretend that your whole face isn't pink. I'm also just incorporating my ear, and then that's the finished tutorial, my friends. I really hope you guys like it, and I hope you can learn from some of the techniques I've used and also some of my mistakes, and I really hope that you guys get inspired by this. And definitely go check out my Instagram account and Jordan's as well to figure out how you guys can enter the Mayron Valentine's Day contest and win some cool prizes and kind of interact with us on social media. I love you guys so much. I really hope you guys like this. Definitely check my description box below to see Jordan's tutorial, and check out her channel and subscribe if you are not already. Okay, my friends, I'll see you guys in the next video, and I love you to pieces. Bye, friends.